Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1, whether it's happening. And welcome. Hello, Diane.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. This is Claire and Diane, and this is She Loves the Grid, episode 37. I cannot believe it.
37.
We're in between weeks.
Wonderful.
We're recording on a Sunday, so we're not going to have the dual recording like last weekend, which I think was kind of cool.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. So, wasn't too hard to talk together. So it was cool. All right, let's start off the week and then let's just dive into it. Maybe we can knock this one out shorter, but there's still a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
How was
It
your
was
week?
good. It was another busy week. My sister was in town all week, so lots of very late nights and an 80s party and just
Like the
lots
normal.
of we had so much fun. My brother's was the best. It was his party, but he had the full on Tom Petty, from that Don't Come Around Here No More video. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. But we all decided we probably pretty much ended up looking just like we did in the 80s. Like my outfit was pretty representative. My sister's was of her. My cousin was like, this is what I always used to wear. So
Were you wearing a baby onesie, Diane? Because you were so young in the 80s.
exactly. That's exactly what it was. Precisely. What about you? How was your week?
It's good. It's, a lot of work. It's getting colder here, so just trying to get used to that, because it's a new place for me to be in cold.
Yeah.
I have a little battery powered hand warmers that I now carry around to keep my hands warm.
Oh my goodness. I watch the weather for you a lot and I'm like, okay. And then I also watch the other city that I hope to go to and it's like
Well, and then I'll have these with me on our trip to Italy in a couple of weeks. It's just a couple of weeks away. I cannot
I
believe
know, but it's been in the 60s. So like
it. Yeah. Well,
we'll keep watching it.
I also discovered the only really cool thing I discovered. I don't know if anybody from my work listens to the podcast, but because of our trip and because of my mandatory days I have to take off before the end of the year, I am only working 7 days for the month of December.
Goals. That's awesome.
I'm loving that. All right. All right, let's get into it. So there's lots of, I can't believe the amount of news. Is it normally like this much news at the end of the year?
I think so. I mean, I think that's pretty typical. And to be honest, I don't even know how on it I was because I was so busy this week. I was barely online or like following up on anything. So, but yeah, I think one of the biggest things was Haas had filed a request for review from the USGP in Austin, claiming that there were a lot of additional track limit violations. And so they wanted them to review it. They wanted the stewards to review it, which would have moved Nico, I think, further up into the points because they were really targeting like Alex, Albon, Checo for sure, which I think we had talked about that after the Austin, race. And I think two other drivers. I can't remember who they are. But the stewards did end up declining their request. In part, they said, none of this is really that new. So you kind of should have done it, back at the race. I mean, we have had more races since then. We had Mexico and Brazil. And so now they're just bringing it. However, they did say the only person of significance or the only driver that had significant track violations was Alex. So he may have been the only driver that they would have targeted. But the stewards did say that there is an issue, with track policing. It's completely unsatisfactory, and they called for a change to how track limits are monitored before 2024. So they've got a few months to figure that out. But I mean, I feel like, and granted, I haven't been watching F1 for, that many years, but I feel like track limits was a huge topic this year. Like I'm not even starting with, was it not Austin, Austria, not even starting with that one where it was just a joke. But I mean, we've talked about
it. It has been. If you go back and look at it, and I'll do that then to your analysis, it was a lot. And with all the telemetry and all the data they have in the car and all the sensors and the GPS positioning and whatnot. There's got to be a way that they could better monitor the track limits or require a change to the curb.
Yeah.
So you prevent or discourage a lot of it because it would the detrimental aspect of it. But
Yep.
I mean, safety still is paramount. But yeah, it's just it's too much, especially with it being so far after the race. People celebrate and it's like, oh no, or you're taken out and you have to confide it, and then oh wait, no, that's not it. It's just it's hard to gain new fans, especially the fan base that it sounds like I feel like that they're going for with the Netflix special and whatnot, and some of the pre-game hype they've been doing that seems very American. That you're getting some fans that aren't going to get deep into all aspects of it, the strategy, the technology, and all of that. And if you want to keep some of that surface fan, you can't have all this weird bickering and decisions changing and all of that, because people lose faith and trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think like the timeliness of calling those is huge. So however they do decide to tackle that, like they just need to get it figured out before 2024 and have like set rules, because it can change somebody's qualifying standing. I mean, the race standings, like that's a huge thing. And like you said, there's enough technology out there that whether you do sensors or monitors or I don't know, like even the curbs, which would probably be maybe the easiest, put something down there that the drivers aren't going to want to go through. So like they need to do something. Okay. The other thing that really stood out to me this week, and I was like, oh my gosh, is Red Bull, the RB20. They are talking about how this car, I mean, Red Bull has been dominant, I think, since 2022. This year, for sure, we've all seen it. But when you go back to 2022, for sure, I think they've been super dominant. But the word is out that the RB20 for 2024 is going to have major aerodynamic changes and some extreme improvements. And when I read extreme improvements, I was like what?
How?
I mean, Max's car for sure seems to be on point. He's not had any type of failure. Like that car, yes, he has complaints about different parts of it on different tracks, but like what extreme improvements are you going to be doing? So here's what they're saying. The vertical load is going to be generated and distributed in a radically different way. The floor is going to function differently. So it's going to adopt a very different volumetric. Is that right?
Volumetric.
Yeah. Volumetric. I don't know. Confirmation of the Venturi channel. So underneath, like that is gonna, the air is gonna come in and it's gonna be somehow distributing that air differently when it goes, through the car. All I kept thinking is like Adrian Newey is a freaking genius and apparently doesn't rest on his laurels, which we already know, but like, oh my gosh.
That makes sense to me about the floor. I think I sent you the video about the Mercedes thing that's not F1, but it's another thing that they're doing with the world's fastest electric car.
I don't think so.
I sent it to you. There's this video, and it's like 0 to 60 in like a second, and it's an electric car.
Oh.
And part of it that they talked about in the engineering is to get ready when they start to fire it up, it sucks itself down to the ground.
Oh.
Using it pulls itself down. So when it takes off, it has that downforce and traction to just and go. It was really, I'll find it and send it to you. It's really fascinating, the engineering behind it. Yeah. And so it makes me think about that. They're going to talk about having different channels and how they're sucking that in. Maybe that is in an effort to help bring that downforce in using the floor.
Yeah.
And it's someone was like, I was like watching like, oh, I bet that's why they do that in F1.
That's amazing. I have to go back and look because I don't think if you sent it, I didn't watch it, but I've been super busy the last month. So.
But it's really fascinating. It's for Mercedes. It's Mercedes research and engineers in college and whatnot are doing this. But it was really fascinating. An electric car, 0 to whatever in like 1 second.
That's amazing.
But it also depended on the driver, because when the guy came there and was reporting on it, he weighed, I forget how many kilos more, and so it didn't accelerate as fast because he
That's
the
why the
car down.
drivers are always like in shape, like so in shape, and they're
It all
smaller,
matters.
they're on the shorter side. So there's that too. But yeah, all I kept thinking when I was reading this about the RB20 was like, do you think the other team's engineers are just like, oh, for crying out loud? Like, here we've been over here working on our thing, and Adrian Newey's come up with a completely radical car. Like,
And how many are hoping it'll be like the Aston Martin? We're doing great. We made an improvement, and then we just tanked it, kind of thing.
I just feel like that is not Adrian.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But,
no, not at all.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, by that picture I showed you of a billionaire who took over the globe in Vegas, calling out Red Bull for cheating on such a very public scale.
Very public. Oh, yeah. Yay. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So Charles and Ferrari are reportedly talking about extending his contract. Like, they're in negotiations right now for 2024 and beyond. Like, I don't think it's surprising that Ferrari wants Charles for a very long time. Like, he is their main concern. They definitely think he could win a championship with them if they could just give him a car. That would be lovely. But, and this also doesn't surprise me, the rumors are that Charles needs to be convinced to stay. And I don't blame him, because he has been screwed over by their strategy. I feel like his engineer, the car has had some reliability issues over the last couple of years.
A little bit. This year especially. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know if this year. I feel like the last 2 or 3 years, like, it's just been brutal for him. So yeah, you better be convincing me. If I'm Charles, you better be convincing me to stay. Like, I need a lot of reasons, and it can't just be about the money. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep our eyes on it. But I honestly can't picture him leaving. I feel like he's synonymous. There's just some athletes that are just like synonymous with their team, and he's one of them. Like Charles, Ferrari. I think they go together, but we have to do better. We have to do better by Charles. We've got to give a car that he can count on, and a strategist, and maybe an engineer. Because I kind of feel like I'm not sure about Javi. There were some issues there. We haven't heard too much lately, so maybe it's gotten better. The other thing that was exciting this week is that Haas was saying that they are planning to give my little Ollie Behrman some more test sessions. So we talked about Ollie a couple weeks ago in Austin. He's actually with Ferrari's driver academy, but they kind of loaned him out to Haas, and he did a session, and he did better than, like, by a lot, all the other rookies. And we know that with Pietro Fittipaldi going to the Indy Series, Haas is without a reserve driver. So I'm hoping that these test sessions come through and at least gives him another step up into F1. That'd be amazing. So yeah, and he's just 18 years old, as a reminder. He's only 18. So so hopefully we'll be hearing his name more. But also Liam Lawson. So he continues to have himself quite a racing year. So as we know, he came up when Danny Rick broke his hand. Liam Lawson came up to AlphaTauri, had some really, really good races. Like, people were like, give him a seat. That's awesome. But he went back to Super Formula after that ended, because that's where he was. And he just won Rookie of the Year. So good for him. Like, that's exciting. He had a really cool year over there, even separate from the few weeks, what was it, like 6 weeks or 8 weeks? I don't even remember. He was in F1. He was there for a while.
Well, he was in for almost 8 weeks. It wasn't that many races because of the breaks.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool. I love it. Okay. Sprint races. So we talked about that a little bit last week. We had our own ideas.
Were they listening? Because they seem to be considering some of what we talked about, which I think is really cool.
I love it. So the rumors that are going around are that there will be a sponsor offering major cash prize for the winners, up to $1 million. I don't know if that's like per sprint race, or if that's like for, if they do like this whole, like, the other rumor is that there'd be a standalone sprint championship. So the points from the sprint wouldn't go towards the F1 total F1 points, it would be its own thing. So I don't know if the $1 million is at the end, and whoever wins with the most points, probably Max. But whoever wins would get that money. I'm not sure. They also are talking about doing the reverse grid for the top 10 and then maybe the whole grid. So I don't know. We'll see.
That would
But
be fascinating. That would be so fascinating. I would love it. I would love it. I would love to see. I definitely the top 10, but I see some interest in reversing the whole grid because, the people who have not performed well or never get started in front, they're in the front and, see how long they can hold it. How long can they battle? That gives them some experience in that too. But then let's see these guys who say they are it and they are like, we're the best, blah, blah, fight for it. Show me you can fight for it. And we've seen a couple of them this year because Max and Checo and others have fallen back for whatever reason because of quality. But just see it purposefully would be so cool.
I think it would be really fun. And I still like our idea of having the one quali and you use that for both the sprint and the race and then reverse the sprint. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, reverse the order for the sprint. I think that would be so cool.
Like, because
then there's even
more
than that.
Yeah, and you get one more practice, right? Practice twice on Friday, qualify Saturday morning, flip the results for the sprint that afternoon for that day, and then those are the exact results for the next day. It just simplifies it. And
I think that's so smart because you don't have the two qualities, which they say, then you have to start managing your tires. Like, how do we want to do that? But it puts like so much more emphasis on the shootout is what they're calling it. But if you just have one and it's for both races, it puts a lot more on that.
I was just sitting there mulling it too. I've been thinking about this since I heard about it. It was like if you did the whole grid, not only do you have your flip of the entire grid in the back having to, fend off and getting that experience up front, and then the front having to fight themselves back. That middle pack has a different pack to fight against.
Yeah.
So think about that because your 10 is your 10. Your 9, 10, 11, it's not going to matter if you're 11, 10, 9. Like that middle pack right there, that's going to be an interesting thing for them too because they're right on the line of points. And how hard can they keep those points or fight for higher because it's a shorter race and they've got maybe not as stronger drivers in front of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be fascinating.
I love it. I think that's awesome. I love it. Lots of merch coming out for Vegas. So that's kind of interesting. Some of it's ugly. Some of it's cute.
Hey, give me pictures about that.
Like McLaren, I don't know what that is. If you see that merch, I'm not sure what's happening there. But one thing I thought was interesting, and it's not Vegas related, but Williams came out with a line of Logan Sargent merch, which to me was kind of like confirming he's going to be around next year. They're saying it's limited edition or, limited quantities, but I kind of feel like, why would you do that if you weren't going to keep them? So I don't know.
You limited quantities because you're just trying to get something up there to kind of give him his remembrance of being an F1 driver.
I thought that too, but I didn't want to go there.
And when you said the limited quality thing, I went, well.
I thought that last night too, but I was like, I'm just going to go with the happy. I honestly feel like I don't think he's going to lose that seat. Yeah, so I think it's a thing. Or like, let's test it out. Does he have that many fans? Like, do we want to keep him? Anyways, so some fun facts. This may be fun for some and not for others. But Fernando has scored 76% of the team's points this season. And we have talked about that, how few points. Well, Lance did great last race in Brazil, but he hasn't scored a lot of points. So Fernando has scored 75%. Nico was pretty close to that. Fernando 76. Nico has 75% of Haas's points, which, okay, Kevin Magnussen. And then, no surprise, Alex Albon has 95% of Williams' points, with Logan just scoring the one, thanks to some disqualifications. But yeah, that is kind of crazy when you look at the percentages that way. And then there was a whole bunch more, but yeah, I think I think Carlos was like 50 something percent of the points. But for Charles, this is a not so fun fact. He is the only driver since Checo, who did this 12 years ago, to have a did not finish, a did not start, and a disqualification in a single season. So, yeah, Ferrari.
That's what I was getting at earlier. And this has really been a bad season for him. And just like everything's not been good. Last season might not have been good, but to have that kind of stat on you.
Yeah. You know what I heard though, and I don't know if this is true, and I didn't really like kind of include this in my notes, but I did hear that supposedly there is some sort of a system in the car, Ferrari has in the car, that will shut the car down. I can't remember exactly what it was, but if he had kept going, that car could have exploded. So there's like a safety mechanism that if things are failing or whatever, it will just completely shut down. And I was like, I wonder if that's true. If he had gone a little bit farther, could you imagine? That's very scary. Very, very scary if that is accurate. So I know. So glad he pulled over. Glad it shut down. If that's the case, I'm glad.
I had this little wrangle adventure trying to get back to the pit. So.
Yeah. Just pull over and get out.
Yeah,
take a walk back through the woods. It'll be fine. Okay, let's talk about Vegas. So much stuff around this race. Like so much stuff. Down to the last two races of the season. They're back to back. So we've got 2 more weeks. This weekend, Vegas, and then the last weekend is what? Abu Dhabi. I have to stop and think about it.
Everything that we're about to talk about with Vegas, what I'm, aside from all the construction and there's mixed emotions and all that, it was just a couple months ago that they had a cyber attack in some of the largest casinos there that they had to recover from. And it took them down, like hard down, like elevators didn't work and like it was bad.
Yes.
And to come out of that recovery and then go into all the stuff we're talking about, chaos incarnate.
Chaos. Exactly. And the people of Las Vegas are not thrilled. The videos that people send me of like, residents going around and filming things is like, okay, like I've seen it all. I feel like I've seen it all.
The trees and just all the road, and I'm not happy with the road closures and just all of it. It's
nuts. So this isn't the first time F1 has had a GP there. Back in the early 80s, they raced there 2 times, and it was in the Caesars parking lot. And I kind of wish I would have taken a screenshot of what that looked like, but it looked a lot more fun than what we have for this year as far as track goes, because it was a lot of this, a lot of this. So Liberty Media and F1 are promoters of this race, and that's different than a lot of the other races. They do help promote Miami, but this is kind of like F1 is really it for this. Other countries do pay a hosting fee, and it will range from $20 million, which is Monaco, up to $57 million on the high end this year, which is Azerbaijan. I can always have to stop and think about that. F1 actually bought the land where the paddock is. It's 39 acres, 300,000 square foot paddock building. They bought the land for like $240 million, and the reports are it cost about the same to build that whole paddock area. So we're in for like $500 million just for that part of it. That building will become the U.S. headquarters for F1. So that's, at least they're going to put it to use, I guess, after the race. But they're going all in. So tickets. Initially, the tickets. We talked about this many times on the podcast, especially when they first went on sale. But even like standing room only tickets were going for like, I swear, $1,000 at the time. Like ridiculous. And they kept saying like tickets are sold out. They're sold out. They're sold out. Apparently that was just a big fat lie. Because they still have like at least 10,000 tickets is one of the things I've seen still available. Hotel room prices on the strip were going for thousands of dollars a night. And now they're back down to normal weekend Vegas pricing, which is about $250 $80-ish. Just depends on where you're staying.
It's interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but it's interesting to have 10,000 seats potentially still open, considering they had to shut down that one grandstand. They just stopped. They just decided not to build it. They couldn't get it done, or whatever the reasons were, and they upgraded all of those people to a better package for free, and that so those tickets reduced the amount available, and they still have that many available. So that's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of insane to me how
Like
much
seat
it's
reduction, and you still have that much. So yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying that the ticket prices for the race, just to get into the race, have dropped 35% just in the last month. So, like I was saying, they started off about $2,000, and now like grandstand tickets are available for 3 days, like $1,000. So that's like a 50% drop there. And then the tickets, if you just want to go to practice and qualifying, because they're really pushing these 1 day tickets, have dropped 50% and 60% respectively. So quality tickets have dropped 60%. But that's probably because who the F wants to sit in the freezing cold at midnight, which is what time quali starts in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm looking at F1's website.
Hard.
Friday, you can get it 466. Mine's in euros. But for the weekend, they're pretty pricey on there for what they have. It's still, it's like for the weekend, it's like 1,800 for all three.
That's kind of what I jumped on like a week or two. Yeah, like a week or two ago, I jumped on SeatGeek or something like that, and the 3 day tickets were still over $1,000. So it's still high, but not nearly as high as what it was. And again, they have all of these extra tickets available. So it was not the sellout like they thought it was going to be. And remember, this is being promoted by F1. So their promotion of this started way back with the first race. If you watch their social media, they were promoting this at other races with like the sequin jackets that they were giving everybody. And I mean, they have been talking about this nonstop and trying to generate excitement for it. And initially it hit, and then it was like, nope, I'm out. Like, I'm done. So the weather has been a big topic. And listen, I'm just going to say this. I've seen so many TikToks and memes and just reports on it. How many times on this website have I said it is going to be cold? The desert is cold. If people are thinking that Vegas is hot, yes, it's hot in the summer, hot in the spring, hot in the, early fall. In the winter, it can be very, very, very windy. The winds that come through there are ridiculous. It is very cold. The temperature, as soon as the sun drops, the temperature drops like crazy. So to me, it's ridiculous that people are just now figuring out it's going to be cold there during the race. And supposedly F1 came out and admitted that they didn't realize how cold it was going to be. And it's like, what? You could easily go back and look at the years and what the weather looks like. Check the weather reports, people. So they're saying it's going to be the coldest GP ever. It's supposed to be 5 degrees or 41 degrees Fahrenheit. I just pulled up Vegas on my phone, and next Saturday, I think it was more like 50. Hang on. But obviously that can change. So it may be the coldest race. We'll have to see. It could warm up a little bit. The straights, there's a lot of straights on this track. So it's going to be really hard to warm up the tires. Like and they're not traditional, like the turns that they do have aren't really like traditional F1 turns. So how do you warm up the tires? It's going to be, I've heard it's going to be like driving on ice. So that could be so interesting. There was a report that it might rain, but when I just checked the weather app, it's not showing rain at all. So it'll probably be super nice during the day, but cold at night.
I do have an image comparing the original one to the current one, because while we were talking, I made the magic happen. So.
Let's see it. Yes, because you can see, like, yes, look at all that. Doesn't that first one on the left, if you please go on our YouTube channel and watch this. So the one on the left was what was in the Caesars parking lot back in the 80s. That looks way more fun, right? Like more curves, more chicanes, like a couple of long straights. But compared to the one on the right, which is
The pig in a poke.
the pig in a poke. But look, the whole thing is practically straight. I see like one chicane, there's a little bump out, a little bit of a like curve. It's mostly straights. So again, in the cold, what are you going to do? This could be so slippery. I don't know. I'm hoping for
this is the pit lane, because that's the pit lane's that upper the foot, about the hind foot of the pig.
oh,
I've got a picture that shows what we're talking about. If no one's seen the memes, the track is being compared to looking like a pig.
But doesn't the one on the left look way more cool?
Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. Looks like an F1 race versus this is
It looks like the highway.
Yeah.
It does. Like just veer right, at the top over there on the left. Like you just veer.
It doesn't
right.
look much different than a NASCAR race. I mean,
oh gosh.
Little
Isn't
extra,
NASCAR just in an oval?
It's just not oval, but I mean, that's ovalish with just a little bit more added to it. If you think about it.
Yeah.
There's no ins and outs. Most F1 tracks are like that one. Look, they would go in and out, and get in Miami and hit a crossover. I mean, there's some cool stuff, and they double back on each other, and it's really cool because when you're watching the race, you can see across it. I know in the city it's a little different. I mean, I have to compare it to other city ones, but I still think other city ones have a little more excitement. I know Monaco does. Monaco has some really cool ones in it.
I feel like Singapore, like I now I'm trying to remember the Singapore track. Hang on. Because like they're for sure an all street track. Because some of them aren't all, like some are public streets, some are not. Hang on.
Well, I think it was Azerbaijan is all street, right?
Yep.
And it does have a long street, but it's got a lot of windies and turns and whatnot in it.
Yeah. Hang on. What did I just say? I was looking. Oh, Singapore. Oh, people, I'm tired. Okay.
I'm gonna show the pig because
do the pig. Yeah. So this is what's been going around.
There we go. Think of this racefans.net. We're using your image. Thank you guys.
Oh wait, can I show you Singapore? This is a street track. Can you see this?
Yeah. And it's crazy, right? It's got
that's Singapore, a street track. Look at all the turns. Look at all the
and it's not So anyway,
it's ridiculous. But the pig is hysterical. So that's going around today. And please again go on our YouTube page because you can see it with what it looks like, and then how people have say it looks like a pig. It totally does. Yeah. Which is not good because think of all the memes if this race is not good. If it is a chaos.
Maybe we could start renaming these turns as like the rump and the hindquarters and the snout.
Pigfoot. Lucky Pigfoot. Yeah.
To wreck the snout.
I'm really hoping that it's a good race. I really, really am because guess what? It's on the calendar for 9 years after this. So I'm really hoping that it's good, but I feel like there's a lot of nervousness that it's going to be terrible.
Well, and the people of Vegas need to see some results. Like I've not checked into the politics of it and the taxes, but it's costing a ton of money.
Yes.
And there's a lot of inconvenience, even if F1's paying for it or whoever the sponsors, it's the inconvenience and what it's doing to some of the iconic views of the strip. I mean, I lived in Arizona for a while and went to Vegas a bunch, and I love the strip. I love the iconic views of it. And, there's all kinds of, people clutching their pearls, as you would say. Think about the 4 trees that just got unceremoniously ripped out recently and all of that. So it's,
and those trees were necessary. Like I've seen some people say, well, like they're going to replant them, but then they're just going to rip them out next September or October, whenever they start building again. And I think that's part of the issue is like, you don't just put this together they've just finished the track like a week ago. So but it takes months to put all of this stuff together. And so they're saying like from basically August or September through December, there's a whole bunch of people that are not going to go to Vegas for a vacation. There's conventions that are going to go someplace else. although Bravo just had BravoCon there last week. But overall, people are going to avoid it because you don't see those iconic landmarks. You're not seeing the Bellagio fountains. You're not seeing the canals at Venice. Like,
Construction.
it's just construction everywhere. I guess since they finished it last week, I guess the traffic is getting better. But it's just, I don't know.
They're
People are
going
really
to do that for 9 years, and that's going to be their headquarters. They need to come up with a way, use the engineering prowess that we have in F1, and get some engineers to figure out how to make the setup and tear down more efficient and less burdensome to the citizens of Vegas and the rest of the industry there, right?
Yes.
Because granted, it's going to bring in a lot of money, but how is that going to help everybody?
Right.
How is it going to go back to helping the people who had their lives for convenience? Okay, I don't know if it's going to reduce their taxes, but it's not going to take back the 3 to 4 months of the year, 1/3 to 1/4 of your 1/4 to 1/3 of your year is you regret, and it's around the holidays. I mean,
yeah. Because the holidays are really pretty, like, places will really, decorate on the outsides and stuff. And I think it's just kind of, I don't know, in a way it's disappointing. And it makes me think, like, what happens in places like Singapore or Azerbaijan? Like, what is it like leading up to their GP? Do you have the same kind of issues? It just kind of makes me wonder. The other thing that I feel like F1 got lucky with, and it was smart of the union. So the culinary union and the bartender union for the win, MGM and Caesars were actually threatening to go on strike. And the strike was supposed to start Friday, and just Saturday or Friday evening for 2. And then I think early Saturday morning for one of them, they announced that they had reached a tentative agreement. So they won't go on strike. But those 3 companies run 18 of the hotels on the Strip. Can you imagine if you got these people coming in and F1, which needs to put on, the best show, and you have your bartenders and your culinary workers on strike? Like, bravo to the unions for utilizing this event and the upcoming Super Bowl, which is also going to be in Vegas at the beginning of February, to their advantage. So I say good for them. But the MGM head has been bragging about how the race is going to bring $60 million extra dollars just to their properties. Like, okay, you got the money. Like, we're going through all of that.
Don't be bragging and then not be helping the workers, because that's just the capitalist. We won't even get into that.
Exactly. I do hope we get to see some sort of a breakdown after the race. Like, how much money did it really bring in? Because there's been a lot of talk about, like, it's supposed to bring in, tens of millions more than the Super Bowl is supposed to bring in. But with all of, like, now the hotel rooms prices are lower with all these tickets that are still available, I'm still very curious what the end numbers are going to look like. And I don't know if we'll ever hear the real ones, but I'm curious.
That's true. But especially the amount that came in versus the outlay compared to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to bring in so much. Oh, what brings in less? Yeah, but the city doesn't have to spend near as much money to bring in the Super Bowl, and they don't have to inconvenience their citizens for 4 months because of the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, because they do bring in, like, the NFL experience and all these really fun things, but those are usually held in an existing facility. So, like, what do you call those things? A civic center, and there's tons of huge ballrooms in places.
Oh, the convention center there is massive. And that's just one convention center. There's like a couple. Hilton has their own convention center. I mean, there's like all kinds of stuff on top of stadiums, on top of, Vegas is a convention town. So there's plenty of places.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's not so much of an inconvenience to everybody. So yes, they might bring in more with F1, but they cost more. So what's the net?
Right.
I would love to know net revenue.
Yes. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. It might be a while before we hear those numbers, and who knows if we'll get accurate numbers, but I really am curious is what does the final look like? Because that could make a big thing for
premature.
What's that?
I was getting this slide ready to show the curves were coming up to that axis. It was added. Premature.
Showing.
Sorry about that for anybody
So
watching.
the other thing that I noticed the other day, because I do follow the Vegas GP social media. So we know that this is a street track, right? We talked about that, blah, blah, blah. What I think is really interesting is that on Thursday, the roads are going to be open to the public until 5 o'clock. FP1 starts at 8:30 p.m. So you're going to have all kinds of regular vehicles, trucks, whatever, on the roads 3.5 hours before the first practice starts.
Let's hope there's not a major accident.
Well, there's that. Then you think about all the stuff that can fall off of cars. When are they doing the track walk? Because I didn't see anything about a closure for a track walk on Wednesday. So everything's backed up today a day because the race is actually on Saturday. So we have our practices on Thursday. There's an opening ceremonies on Wednesday. When are you doing the track walk? Like, I don't know when that happens, but the road opening and closing. So closes at 5, then it's closed until 2 a.m. when it will start to reopen, and it's going to be fully reopen at 4 a.m. for local traffic. Same thing on Friday and Saturday. Why? I could not find anything about like the Singapores or the other street tracks that are opening and closing the roads. And I fully get that people that work in the casinos need to go to work. But I'm guessing if you're working the early shift, are you getting off by 2? The people who might get off at 2 in the morning, they have to wait till 4 in the morning to leave work. Like, I don't get how that works. But I couldn't find anything specific about them doing this in the other cities. However, I was seeing a lot of comments where people were saying they don't do this at other tracks. So in Singapore and stuff, they're not opening and closing the roads.
Well, and the thing that gets me is, I don't know if it's for the workers so much, because they could have easily, and I say easily, maybe sounding naive, but being in Vegas and knowing about the monorail that runs through Vegas, right? They could have increased the monorail service. They could have had certain cars specifically tied off to be for employees only, right?
Yeah.
And if they increase their services and then shuttle them, use the monorails to get them out of the track area into an off-track area, and then get them to their cars. I mean, there are ways. Yes, the employees would have to maybe plan a little earlier, and then the hotels, because they're making much more money, need to compensate them for the employees taking longer to get to work because of the F1 race.
Yeah.
Then they could have potentially kept everything shut down unless they needed open for just other stuff. But yeah, I don't recall that. I thought like once Monaco shut down, it shut down.
Yeah, Monaco is like that. It's shut
all
down.
the people who live there and all the businesses, but they deal with it. And I thought it was the same for all the other city tracks, because there's so much. Wow, what they're going to have to do to make sure the track is clear and
that's
clean.
My thing.
And there's just a major accident right before.
Right. And just the integrity of the track. Like, are they going to come through with like, sweepers and make sure nothing's left on the track? What if, somebody squeals out? Like, what if rubber's on the track? Like, I just feel like the overall integrity of the track every day, and even hours before the race,
frankly, and I hate to say this, our recording is going on Tuesday before the race, and we don't have enough listeners for this to like spurn any ideas or anything. But you know how volatile things are in the U.S., and especially with politics, especially with people's opinions, and people get that heated about sports and all that kind of stuff. Who's to say some whack job doesn't decide to go and take their big old truck and gouge the road right before or in between?
Yeah.
And screw up and hurt the road. They cannot stop that. They're not going to have police and people watching every vehicle if the road's open. They lose so much integrity in that road. And the difference, like you were saying, like people spinning out, just laying down rubber with other cars being on there, and oil dripping, and cars that have freeze dripping, and like, my brain's going nuts now. Oh my God, what are they doing?
That just shocked me. I honestly was like, that can't be right. And it's on the Vegas GP every day. They're like road closures. And I was like thinking, okay, they're going to close the road like Tuesday night. So Wednesday, the teams go out and do their track walks and, all of that stuff. And I was like, am I reading this correctly? till 5 and then we're going to shut it down. And then how do you make sure that you got everybody out of there? Somebody could just be popping themselves, in there and hide until the race starts. I don't know. It's so bizarre. Anyways, we'll have to keep an eye on that too. This is why I'm hopeful that this race goes off well, but I also feel like this race is has the potential to be a complete and utter shit show. Okay, let's go to the grid and the paddock design. So again, if you're on our YouTube page, you will see the curbs. This is kind of cute. The curbs all have hard suits painted on them. So they've got the diamonds and the clubs and whatever, hearts.
Spades.
What are those other? Oh, spades. That's what it's called. I always forget that one. So I think that is really kind of fun. I love it. You're bringing in your own. Nobody else has done that in their cities. So I love that. I think it's awesome. Apparently above the garages, I don't know if the teams got to select their cards or they just have cards, but there's playing card designs kind of on either side of their names. So there was a picture of, I think it was Alfa Romeo, and they had a 6 of hearts and then a club of clubs, which I don't even know what that is, but it's just was a club card, which looked very cool. Like, I think that I love bringing in those little aspects of Vegas, the gambling and the Vegas little aspects. That I think is amazing. I think that's super cute.
Well, the other picture we have is of pit lane.
Oh, the pit lane. Let's talk about that. Or wait, yeah. Let's just talk about it. No, that's okay. So this is another issue that people started noticing online. A picture came out of the finished, what I say that cost. The land cost $240 million, and supposedly that building, which I do love the giant F1 on the top of it, is the pit building, the paddock area, cost maybe another $240,000. But of course, people were like so quick to notice the pit lane exit, and we go this way, right? So the pit lane
right above
exit,
the star and the Heineken, which, by the way, this is the back foot of the pig.
Okay. I still love that. So, okay. So here is where this could get really dangerous. One, we know how the teams are kind of sitting, or not really sitting. They're very slowly rolling at the end of the pit lane, and they start gathering up. This is also going to be a blind curve. Looks like it is also on the racing line where the pit exit actually happens. There's no monitor. Like in Monaco, they have something sort of similar-ish, but they have a board, so the drivers that are coming into that turn can see if there's anybody coming out. Yep, anybody is coming out. They don't have that here as of yet. We still have a few days. Maybe they're going to put it up. But this could be very dangerous, as it seems to be a blind curve and on the racing line, to have cars, especially during qualifying, coming out. Somebody's on a fast lap and you've got a slow car coming out of the pits, and you don't know there's a car coming out, and you're on a racing line. This could be scary, and it's narrow.
By the way, the back leg, the upper right-hand corner, see the arrows going up and around? That's where that is.
This could be very, very scary, to say the least. So maybe, hopefully, they're reading the comments and they'll put up a board or a video or something there. But that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Pretty, though. It's all lit up very pretty. Since it's going to be at night, it'll be interesting. But
yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to hear what the drivers have to say. I know Max was quoted this week saying, like, he needs to get on the simulator. The one time that he'd been on there, he said he was in the walls more than he was on the streets. So, I don't know if he just did a one off, but
we saw that video somebody took from a high rise of a car out track, testing the track. We don't know what car it was, whose it was, the whole background behind it.
Yeah,
it was slipping a little bit around the curve. So it's
yeah,
interesting.
It's going to be very interesting.
Right.
There are already some special liveries and some special helmets. I think we'll hear more announced this week, but they were big teases this week with the release of their livery. So we've got the white Ferrari on the back. We've got the white line on the red. I like
I
it.
like I
I
like
do
it.
like it. Yeah, I like the white Ferrari.
It screams like classic race car to me. Like it's just
Yes.
vintage, I really like it.
Very, very much so. And they have their special overalls also, which I love. I don't love the sweatshirts as much, which we don't have a picture of, but if you go to our social media, to me, my first thought was thing 1 and thing 2 because it's a big circle in the middle with their numbers and like, and I love my Ferrari guys. It's not in a mean way. I just find it hysterical. But yeah, that is the designer that's with Carlos and
Yeah,
Charles.
Joshua Vitas with the Kuma Designs. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
love it.
designer.
I love it. I can't wait to see it on the circuit. It's going to be so cool. I love it. We know that Red Bull will have their fan design livery. I don't think I've seen it yet. So if it's out there, I'm sorry. I missed it. I'm super busy.
I checked their Twitter before this, and they don't have it posted yet.
Okay. So that will be coming out this week, and we'll share that. And then Max has already released his Vegas helmet, which again, if you're on our YouTube, you can see. I love the lion at the top. I think that's his lion at the top. It's got Las Vegas across the back, little playing cards and a roulette wheel. It looks cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if this will be like a tip off to what the actual livery will look like. If it will have kind of those neon-ish colors.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a little preview. Could be a little preview. But I bet there will be more. Like, I think I'll be a little sad if I don't have like a special helmet from Valtteri, who does, to me, he's the king of the special lids. Even Lando does such a good job with his, so I'm going to be a little bummed if I don't see some more special helmets. Okay, let's talk about race weekend. So Wednesday is the opening ceremony. I don't think we've ever had an opening ceremony before. It's like the Olympics. So they're going to have
opening. They did some pre-race stuff in Miami, right? To kind of hype.
Yeah, but that was like the morning of the race.
Yeah, that's not what day before.
So this actually is going to have all 20 drivers are going to be there. They are going to do driver introductions allegedly. So let's pray to God that they're better than the ones that they did in Miami with their lame intros. Those were so cringy. They have 9 legendary musical artists. So they've got Andra Day, Bishop Briggs, Journey, Keith Urban. They kind of have they got some DJs, Steve Aoki, 30 Seconds to Mars, Blue Man Group, Cirque du Soleil. They've got all of these people that are going to be out there. You can watch it on F1's YouTube channel or ESPN2. So I definitely want to tune in. They're going to do fireworks, a drone show. So it's going to be a huge, huge spectacle, right? It's going to be insane. So I kind of can't wait to watch it because I love a crazy spectacle. Thursday is FP1 and FP2. Friday, we've got FP3 in qualifying. Saturday is the race. It is not a Sunday race. I think the times
US and Europe, it is actually horribly early in the morning Friday.
Yeah.
So for Europe, for us Europeans, it's like 5 for me in Germany. It's 5:30 in the morning for FP1 and 9 in the morning for FP2 on Friday. And I heard that they moved it like this to cater to the Europeans, but I don't know how 5:30 in the morning caters to me.
No, and that's what all the Europeans are saying is 6 a.m. is not convenient. And it's so stupid to me. Here's another major issue with this race is
4:30 in the morning for UK.
Who picked the times? Who picked the times for this? Nobody in America. You've got the East Coast. Now I think Vegas is 1 hour behind me because we don't change times here in Arizona or my part of Arizona. But I don't want to stay up. I'm not staying up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch qualifying, even if I think it's going to be a shit show. I'm not staying up to 1 a.m. when it starts and ends at 2. And people on the East Coast, that's 3 a.m. their time. Who planned this? You want people in the U.S. to stay involved with F1 or draw more people into F1, nobody's staying up to watch it. They're just not going to. And then
Like
the
the Mexico
Europeans,
times work. I don't understand. The Mexico times work. Brazilian times work. They're all in American
well,
time zones. Like
right.
I don't understand the problem. I don't
Well,
understand.
I
And
get
then
them wanting to have a night race, but it's daylight savings time and it gets dark at like 5:30. So you could start the night race at 7 p.m. Yes, that's still like 9 p.m. for the East Coast. And then I don't know what that is for you people in Europe, but like
3:30, 3 a.m.
listen, it's not like I haven't had to get up at 4 or whatever, 5 a.m. to watch a race, but still, like, come on. Why? Why? Maybe have
I
a
honestly
different
would rather the 2 or 3 in the morning because I would just stay up from the night before. Because you know me, I'm a night
race.
owl. But now I'm like, how am I going to do my weekend? Because and that's a work day. It's a work day that it's at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm usually snoring and blowing bubbles at 5:30 in the morning. So
I know.
and
Wait,
then 9 to 10,
is
and
that
then
right? Because it's at
Saturday.
9:30 at night for me on Friday.
Yeah, it's 5:30 in the morning because I am now 8 hours ahead of you. So it's 5:30 in the morning for me on Friday,
Mm,
and then 9 in the morning because that's 1 a.m. is your quali. Quali
yeah,
is 9 a.m. for me.
yeah.
And then Saturday it's 5:30 in the morning for FP. They call it FP3. Oh, I'm sorry, FP3. Sorry, FP2, and then FP3, and then quali is at 9 a.m. Yeah, and then the race is at 7 a.m.
I mean, that's still not bad. Most of the races I have to get up at 6 a.m. to watch, but like, I just don't understand it. Like, there's no way I'm watching quali at 1 o'clock. I'm not even sure I'm going to watch the race at 11. I have a football game that I'm going to that night, and I think it's at night. I don't know. They haven't decided the time, but Miss Universe is on. Like, so I'll be up. Like, but do I want to then stay up from 11 to 1 o'clock to watch the race? I don't know. I don't know. I can't sleep in the mornings. It's terrible. Okay, so anyways, it's 50 laps, 2 DRS zones at 6.201 kilometers, tons of straights like we've already showed you. But guess who's fast on the straights?
Williams.
Williams. They're one of the teams that's fast on the straights, but oh my gosh, I would absolutely die to have Williams like just kill it in Vegas. They need the points. They need to stay ahead of AlphaTauri right now. They're only
Well,
what,
it'll be
7 points
interesting.
different.
There's got to be a couple of slow corners, especially around the pig's hindquarters, the hind legs. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
they're
sure that will be slow. That will be
and they were talking about this last race in Brazil about the slow corners, even in Mexico, like the slow corners and how well like McLaren and AlphaTauri and some of those were performing with slow corners versus
yeah.
Red Bull was not performing well with the slow corners. And this one seems to kind of a mix, like a couple of slows, and the rest seem pretty fast. So
Yeah.
that was interesting too.
That will be I am very, very curious. I mean, I'm sure everybody is. It's the first time we've had this track and it's new for everybody. F1 is saying it should be the speed should match Monza, which is known as the Temple of Speed. So they are thinking it's going to be really quick. However, if it's slick, I don't know how quick it's going to be. So
In that
that's
corner
gonna be interesting.
at the pit lane exit, it just dawned on me like all of them came together. The science hit me. Most people come out of the pit, especially when they're doing their pit lane strategy and they've got their lead and they're trying to come out and accelerate pretty hard, right? To stay ahead.
Yeah.
They can't do that in that corner.
No. I don't know how you can do it there.
Oh my
That would
gosh.
be so interesting. There could be lots of overtaking, which would be fun because we had that in Brazil. Like that was so much fun. I don't
Yeah.
know. My hope is like this is a really awesome race. I hope there's lots of overtaking. I hope that it is very fast. We just don't know. And I think there's so many variables between the weather and the track and everything else that it could also be terrible. And then we have 9 years of that. Or I would hope that they would switch the times. Like you can't have it in the summer, but you could maybe do it in the spring or the early fall. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Beyond the grid. I know we'll have a lot to talk about next Sunday. Holy moly.
It's going to be insane.
It's going to be great. So beyond the grid, there was a great article about Joe talking about how grateful he is to be in F1, the sacrifices that his family made for him to do that. They moved to England, I think when he was like 12 just what it means to him and his family, and to be the first Chinese driver in F1 history. So very, very interesting. Definitely, if you find it, go give it a read. This is one thing I'm looking forward to. And I didn't get tickets, although I got an email this morning that was like, there could be changes where they might need more people. And I'm thinking, don't tease me. Like, either I'm in or I'm out. But on Tuesday, I'm going to be in front of my TV. They have the Netflix Cup golf tournament in Vegas. So they announce the pairings. We've got Lando Norris is with Ricky Fowler, who I think you could not have put two nicer people together. Lando is adorable and super nice. And Ricky Fowler is one of the nicest people, I think, on the PGA Tour. So love that pairing so much. Carlos is with Justin Thomas. Pierre is with Colin Morikawa. And then Alex is with Max Homa. So the way they're going to do it, and I am going to explain this to you guys, even if you don't care about golf, but I do. And this is going to be really fun. So they're playing at the Wynn. Each team is going to play 8 holes of match play. So they're supposedly going to have some surprise challenges along the way. At the end of match play, the top team from each foursome is going to compete head to head in a playoff hole. Then they're crowned the winner. So match play for this is they're going to do a scramble. So what happens is we'll just talk about one team. Both players will tee off, and then they decide whose ball do we want to use. So you pick the better of the two, usually the farthest or the one that's in the fairway or, whatever. And then from there, they each take a turn hitting a ball from that location, and they just keep repeating that until the ball goes in the hole. And then whoever has the lowest hole, the lowest score, they win. So Norris and Sainz are going to be in a foursome, so they'll go against each other, and then Pierre and Alex will go against each other, and they'll be a foursome. Marshawn Lynch, who is a former football player, NFL football player, I find him hysterical. He is, I don't know how much he knows about golf, so it could be really funny. He's going to be one of the hosts. There's, I think, 4 of them. So I literally cannot wait for that. Obviously, you can watch it live on Netflix. I'm hoping I'm watching it live in person. I will get on a plane Monday and come back late Tuesday night. I'll just take one day off. So fingers crossed. But yeah, that in and of itself, I'm looking forward to almost as much as the race. There we go.
I'm very excited because the only golf I've ever played as a putt is best ball. So that's like not quite best ball, but it starts out as best ball, and then you kind of change. I like that. That's a cool way of playing. I like that.
I think it's good, and I love the pairings with the pros. I mean, like Carlos and Lando play a lot. I think Pierre does. Alex absolutely does, and his girlfriend, plays professional golf. So I think we've got some good pros, and then obviously good drivers. So it's going to be so interesting. I can't wait. I really wish I was there watching it, though. We'll see. I have no problem getting on a plane. Hello, Netflix people, or the IOTA or whatever they're called that I had to sign up with.
We just need to go and set up like a pigs in a blanket stand and bacon wrap.
Pigs in a blanket. I don't want to cook on my time off. I don't even like to cook normally.
Oh, we would outsource it. I'm just saying the theme.
Oh, yes. I love that you're like, we would outsource that.
We'll be in front cracking all the pig jokes and the bacon jokes.
Oh my goodness. So so we've got a lot of stuff happening, like basically starting Tuesday. It's on. So we need to be ready, and we'll have lots to talk about next week.
It's going to be interesting. I'm going to try to stay up for him. We'll see. That's some odd times for me, but we'll see. All right, cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see everyone next week. Have fun. Hang out with us. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
And a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.